It's
Yeah.
Kaishta. She's Kaishta, you
I
guys.
do I do have to
What
say,
makes her Kaishta?
yeah,
Is it
I want to know
because
that too.
so what if
Because
she talks about
I feel like from the inside it's not genuine. I feel like it's just that's the Kaishta me. Like it's gross the
You
way.
think
you just hate on
I
you're
hate
just
her.
listen,
hating?
people she could do nothing and you would still be
Yeah,
like
yeah, you're right,
Yeah.
you're right.
and
Why is that? I'm
I
usually a
don't
nice
know.
person. What? Why not silence the pause?
I don't even know I made that
Can we like cut just this portion out and just have it as a teaser that we put up today?
But
just
I
I love the scene of like her just saying I'm
Yeah.
usually a nice person meaning like oh my gosh. Oh
Oh,
there's just something about inauthenticity. Like even when I was like little, like there's something just about like you're lying or
no,
there's
that's
like
normal. I mean, that's
I
human
know, but
nature,
it
like
really
to
triggers
trigger.
me.
That
I don't know what it
triggers.
is. It
I would,
really
that
I
triggers
triggers
would
me.
most
think that
people, I would
triggers
think.
everybody, right? Like
Yeah.
that, and it's interesting. I've been like I was telling you guys about this book called I think it's called Let It Go or something like that by Mel
Let
Robbins.
them, yeah, yeah,
Let
yeah.
them be. I can't
Let them. It's
let
just let
them.
them.
And it kind of ties into what you're talking about here, right? Like there's this visceral reaction that we feel or get to when you know someone is wrong or to your example of like, lying inauthentic and you want to make it right. You want to tell them like, no,
You're
you're
cat me,
wrong or you're like you suck.
poking me.
And I feel like, for me, like reading a lot about this whole concept of let them
I
is
know.
liberating, where you're just like, you know what? They want to be fake. They want to lie. They want to do, let them be. Let them.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you,
and I think in our culture, it's really hard
yeah, I
because
was
we
just gonna say that.
love having the last word.
Not letting them
Because we like to put our fingers in people's asses,
Ha,
right? Like
ha.
all the
that's
time.
all the time.
Absolutely. Like, even stuff like when people make comments like, oh, you've gained weight or whatever the hell, like,
Yes.
why?
Yes.
Why do
Yeah.
you have to say that? What do you get out of making that comment?
We would
Or,
just not be us if we let them.
Yeah.
Imagine Shab
yes.
Bangali just suddenly became like, kuruk.
Can you
Never.
imagine? I can't, and it's very difficult. I don't think it's an easy thing for anyone to like be okay with it. But yeah, especially like a lot of the aunties where you're like, damn, can you imagine if they just stayed silent in a
Oh my God.
situation?
Never.
No chance.
But
Yeah,
you
like
guys say all this stuff and you're part of the problem.
totally a
Well, that's
100%.
why I'm saying I'm having this
You're
conversation,
just
dude.
like,
That's exactly why I'm having
100%.
this
I
conversation
can't
of
let them.
like,
you can. We can just
yeah,
it's just our human nature. We just can't do it.
yeah. Which is like, and that's why I think this is a great example of this person that like really triggers you. To me, when I see their content, I have a more let them and not because I'm doing it on purpose, but I think that's what's happening. Where you're like, I'm surprised that you don't find them cringe. To me, I'm just like, I'm totally fine. Like, let them. Like, you want,
Oh.
And so I think that's what happens to a lot of us in terms of when you're really triggered by someone. It's like, who are the ones that you're just like, I it doesn't bother me versus the ones that you're like, no, fuck that. I want to have the last word. I want to tell them they suck.
Yeah. Marion, you and I,
Isn't that interesting?
it has to be our goal for 2025 to trigger Bushra to send her emuneta content. She's gonna have the last
Dude,
word.
are, let's be real. What do you mean? That's me in general. Like I'm always like, no, they suck or I'm hating on them. You
I
don't have to
know,
trigger
but
That's
me to
true.
do
But you're
much.
always
But
nicer when
yeah, you're
no, but it's like, but interestingly, just reading more about this whole concept the last few weeks, I'm like, this is very interesting. Like, I am
watch
gonna
how like
try to like let not like social media people, like that's just fun to talk shit. I mean, you sign up for that, celebrities,
yeah,
influencers,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
signing up for it. But in general, in my life, especially, from our culture too, right? Like there are certain people that trigger you, you know, and you're just like, I just want to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna be whatever about it.
Aw,
I think it would give me so much peace, any
yeah,
of us, to be able to do that.
Who
100%.
in my normal life triggers me like that?
Shit, my own mother triggers me.
Oh
Nash,
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, my mom triggers me.
my mom
And
triggers me
it
too.
goes back to like, again, with our mothers, I think they're the easiest targets
Yeah, yeah,
Can
yeah.
I?
of, yeah, it's the easiest, right? So you have no problem telling them when something's wrong, or like, why the hell did you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
this? I want to practice not saying any of that and just letting her be.
I have
That
a
is going to
mom
be,
story at
yeah,
some
tell
point.
Say it.
us.
So you know how my mom was here
Yeah.
over the winter break. So I don't really share too much with her about, our household politics or whatever, but I was like,
Hmm.
but by the time she was coming, I was already kind of at level 99.9 where I was just like about to lose my shit. So I'm making a pop this in. My mom's like, no, I'm here to support you, blah blah blah. Like, don't even worry about anything. So here is what I understood by seeing her. So she আসার পর থেকে she's been so anxious trying to get the kids, do all the cooking. She's been making fresh food every day and all of
Yum.
this shit. I felt like the feeling that I got was instead of supporting me, it was more kind of like in front of my mother-in-law, for my mother-in-law to
Mm.
have to say to someone else that, oh, Maya bhalo, but Mayaর মা ওর থেকেও ভালো.
Oh, Maya.
Really? You felt that?
I felt it. I swear to God, I felt it. Like, hey, Maya ঠিক আছে. But man, her mom is so kind, so helpful. She's so selfless.
Wait,
She,
pause.
Money, you
Are you
think your
saying,
mom wants that reaction. That's why
yeah,
she's
oh,
doing it.
exactly,
you're not
exactly.
saying that your mother-in-law actually said these things.
She did say all those things. I mean,
She did say
she,
those things.
well, not that Maya is this and Maya's mom
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that,
yeah.
but my she was my mother-in-law was like, oh my gosh, she was throwing up with like compliments from my mom, saying that she just went so above and beyond, you know, in her anxiety, trying to care for the kids because my standards are so high, or trying to keep up with the house because she
Oh.
felt like she was here for a brief amount of time and she had a work like a job to do, which I had no expectations. Like I literally had zero expectations. I had a babysitter that I had on call that actually came a couple of the days because of an incident that we had that we won't talk about.
So
But
I'm trying to like analyze this. I can't tell if this is more like you're triggered by your mom or your in-law, in terms of like your in-law having this impression of your mom.
no,
Or do you
I
think that your mom was like really trying to impress?
think my mom was trying to impress, not my mother-in-law. I mean,
But
like,
is that
But
the pressure of, I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't
I'm sure I
know.
would want to impress my shushu
yeah, but for your
BI.
sake.
Really?
No,
Yeah,
but
But
that's
your
for
what I'm
your
BI,
sake.
saying. She did it for you so that she can be like, Mayaর মা এত ভালো,
huh?
মায়া ওখান থেকেই শিখছে, মায়া ওর
That's how
জন্যই
I'm
মায়া
seeing
এরকম.
it. That's how I
That's
would
what
have
I
read
would
it.
think your
But
mom
isn't
did.
it kind of narcissistic when you think about it, saying going back to that? Because there's certain things that I see and I observe and I notice that she particularly, and I don't think she watches our podcast, so because that's who she is. Like where she's like, oh, আমার মা এত ভালো করছে, or আমার মেয়ে এত ভালো করছে, oh, আমার মেয়ে তাই, duh. Oh, আমার নাতি এত ভালো করছে, she's so
Oh.
good at school. Because she's my granddaughter, you guys,
But
you
here's
know?
the thing. I think I'm following because so I got my tattoo. And remember I was saying I don't know how I'm gonna
Oh
tell my
yeah.
mom this. Like
Yes.
I'm fucking almost 44 years old. Like why should I bother? But I was really worked up. And so I'm like, you know what, before I see her for a family event and ruin the family event, I'm just gonna tell her.
Yeah.
And so I told her on the phone, and I thought I'd tell her when she has like a friend around, like a very close friend, so that she doesn't really explode. Fucking hell, she exploded.
She
And the
did.
reason why was because she's like, এগুলা করো, এগুলাতে কি আমার মান সম্মান কোথায়? Right? মানুষ মনে করবে
Yes.
আমার মেয়ে এরকম। And I'm like, কিরকম? Like everybody does this. And she's like, না আমাকে না বলে এগুলা আমাকে আগে বলতে হবে so that I can be prepared. And then
What?
ওই আরেকজনের সামনে আবার বলতে হয়েছে, so I like আমার মান সম্মান কোথায় যাবে যেখানে আমি জানি যে আমার মেয়ে ভালো? And I was like, what does a tattoo have to do with that? And why are you
Yeah.
concerned
Because
about
you're
your
allowing it.
reputation and putting it
Yeah.
on me?
Well, first of
That's where I
all,
feel like your mom's behavior was coming
I
from.
think for like in general, our parents' generation, they still treat us like we are 10.
Children.
It's just that's what it is, right? In their minds, like I'm even like when I go to Dhaka, I mean, like to your point, like I'm gonna be almost 45, and my I koi jaccho, kabe kokhon আসবা বাসায়. I'm like, dude, why do I have to answer these things? But that's
Yes.
just, like that's because in their minds they still think we're kids, and they
Yes.
Yes.
think they're still and they will forever be responsible for us. But they think that you got a tattoo means that she allowed you to get that.
Yes, that's exactly what she said. She was
Yes,
like,
even though
আমাকে বলে করবি
you're an
না? And I was
adult.
like,
Yeah.
আমি তোমাকে বলে আমি কি করতে যাবো?
But
Like,
that's
why?
what's in our culture, right? Like in our culture, you always ask permission from your murabis, no matter
Mm-hmm.
how old you are. You could be 60 and your mom is 80, and you're still having to ask her, should you do
Yes.
this? Or should my daughter marry so and so? Like, not even your generation, it goes to your grandkids' generation too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like,
for
loki
sure.
bolbe, right? Like, a lot of
You
times we
are a
worry about,
reflection of who they are.
ha, ha, ha. But you already had a tattoo of your
That was
dad's
Although
name.
before.
that was
Does she not
okay.
know? Oh, because it's your
Oh,
dad's
that's
name?
okay because it's my dad's name. যেখানে মানুষের বাসায় গিয়ে দেখেন দেখেন দেখা দেখা তোর কি দেখা?
You need to get one with her, something that she says or
Oh my
some
God.
reflection of her. তখন দেখবা she'll be okay with
This is a
everything.
reflection of. So my sister was like, "Why didn't you tell her?" Because they were like, "What does it mean?" 'Cause finally, when
Yeah.
she was like, "Actually, what does it mean?" And I'm like, "I don't even feel like telling you what it means, like, because she's gonna shit on that too."
Yeah.
And so my sister was like, "Why don't you tell her? Like, how can she have that visceral reaction if she knows, like, it's like symbolizing your kids and what their names mean?" And I was like, "No, because no, because the whole thing comes back to আমাকে না বলে এটা করছো, and মানুষ কি মনে করবে আমার মেয়ে এরকম করে?" And I'm like, this has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with you, but it does. So that's where I think going
Yeah,
back to your mom, you are
a
what she does is a
reflection.
reflection of her, of you, of her on you, and that's probably why. Like maybe if your mother-in-law wasn't there,
But
she would be a
why
little more
so?
chill.
Yeah, because when my mother-in-law wasn't here and it was just my mom and then my aunt was here, we sat around, watched TV, we got takeout. It was so much fun. Like this time around, like I
Oh
dreaded
yeah.
coming home because
She's
I was
trying to
like,
impress your
yeah,
in-law.
it was so just, and I'm not like that. Like I don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah.
this is what you see and this is what you're getting, right? Like out of respect, there are things I'll do for you. But dude, I'm not willing to go in and go that extra mile to pretend like I'm someone else when I'm
But
not.
I think there's a lot of pressure when you have your behind, and
And she's a
I
little
mean
bit
they're
older. Is she not
traditional.
older?
She's a lot
Oh
More
older.
yeah, she's a lot
traditional.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She's traditional. She's a Morobi too. So
Hmm.
for your mom, that's pressure. And again, your mom kind of left that world. and
Yeah.
and so I think she kind of brings back what she knows from her time of
And she
Yeah.
like
has a shada jamai on top of that.
yeah, so I think there's just
Oh my
more
God.
pressure, there's
For
way more
her to
pressure for
prove
her.
her, আমি ভালো মায়া ভালো
Oh,
আমি
ভালো
এখনো
family
like
থেকে.
Bengali tradition রাখি, like it doesn't matter that I married a westerner or whatever they call it,
What did she do? Like Bachwak
bideshi.
Namaj too?
she did.
Shut
See,
up!
dude,
I
this is not,
swear to
it
God.
wasn't
Shut
about you,
up!
Maya. This was totally
This was her. I'm not saying it has
her
anything to do
like
with me.
no,
This
but
was
that's what I'm
her.
saying,
She's
like yeah, she was trying to prove herself to your in-law.
Oh my God. That's
And
isn't
I
that
really
totally
funny.
wild?
understand it. I understand it though. I get it. It's
That's
it's a lot of
crazy.
pressure for her.
But like, isn't that wild that like you come to that point in your life
Hmm.
when
And
you're
at that
older
age, at
at that
that
age,
age,
It doesn't
you're
matter
no
what
coming
one
to
age.
your
ever.
you're coming to your daughter's home, let's say, right? Like this home is just as like it's my place, right? And
Yep.
for even then you feel the need that you have to have a
Hmm.
front for someone else, like so much pressure. Why is
Hmm.
she doing this? Who the
Because
fuck
মানুষ কি
gives
Be-
a
বলবে,
shit?
লোকে কি বলবে,
because we are
উনি কি
wired that
মনে
way.
করবে?
Oh,
We are raised that way and wired that way to always please. And especially like Murabis, you have to respect, and
Ish.
To always
it's
please
just.
and to always like put the best out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no sacrificing what you show has to be
Mm-hmm.
like perfect.
Yeah,
That's so much pressure.
it
I mean,
is.
it's like, আমি আমার বাসায় কেউ আসলে like my friends whoever মানে হাঁড়ি ধরে বুসরা আসলো তো হাঁড়ি ধরে we would eat, right? My
Wait,
mom
the
would
rice was in
die.
the strainer, remember?
Yeah.
Yes. I strained my rice and I put the
Yeah.
strainer in the hottie and put it on the
Yeah.
table. My mom would fucking
Oh yeah,
flip.
no chance. I mean, even paper plate jamra.
Oh,
Dawat
forget
pani
it.
is like the
That
China, and
paper plate.
nobody's using China anymore. Everybody just uses paper plates. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even for like Thanksgiving at like my mama's house, there are like 50 plus people. Pura কাচের প্লেটে খাইতেছে মানুষ. I'm like, why can't we
Why?
just use paper plates? No
We
Who
can't.
is
chance.
doing all the dishes?
ওইটা
She
পিঠ ভেঙে
honestly,
গেলেও
she
we'll do
is.
it. হ্যাঁ.
It's
Just
but that's what they love, right? Like to wine and dine, and like,
put the
hospitality
best.
is
Yeah,
what we excel in our culture.
Ugh,
We are the best at it.
it's true.
We
No
truly
matter
are.
where you are on the socioeconomic spectrum, like
yeah.
you put the best out there
Yeah.
always. Which is
Yep.
a good thing if you think about it. Like,
It's
was it telling you like my
yeah.
Shada friends for a certain gathering and they're like kaya issue.
Yeah. Can we talk about the
They're like আমি
trauma?
ইংলিশে বললাম because ওরা আমি বাংলায় বললাম কারণ ওর কয়েকজন ওরা দেখে.
Sure.
But it's like হ্যাঁ
I think there's
আসো
this other
খেয়ে এসো.
trauma that we have where we are always stressed about not having enough food at our parties.
Remember
Yeah.
I texted you guys about that moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
dying
I
inside যে খাওয়া
literally
কম
like
পড়ে
it
গেছে.
stresses me out so
Yeah.
much. Like, do we
Oh,
have enough food? And then I order too much.
Yeah.
well,
And
I
then that's
always do
waste.
that.
And
But
then
It's
this
you,
one time
wasteful.
I didn't order. I was like, nah, আমি একদম ওইভাবে order করব. And it was fine. But I felt like I'm like সবাই কি কম কম করে খাইতেছে because কম কম আছে বলে. But it was I thought about it for days. It killed me.
And there needs to be several kinds of food. It can't just
mm-hmm.
be
One.
cheese and I don't know, whatever, salami or whatever you call it. Like it has to be that. It has to be another appetizer and another one and
Yes.
another one. And then it's a full meal.
Yes.
Like
Then
I
dessert.
saw
Teen
this.
pod.
হ্যাঁ, আমি
হ্যাঁ,
২ টা কেক কিনে নিয়ে আসলাম। কোন
হ্যাঁ.
কি
Why?
৬ জন মানুষের জন্য ২ টা কেক আনছি। কোন
What
দরকার
the
ছিল?
fuck?
প্রেস্টিজের ব্যাপার এগুলি।
I went ঢাকায় যেরকম, অনেকজনের সাথে তো দেখা করতে হয়, right? And
হ্যাঁ,
so you're like, I'm just অল্প সময়ের জন্য আসবো, একটু চা খাবো, just
ও,
that's it, right? Forget it. চা খাবো, টেবলের এই মাথা থেকে ওই মাথা, just নাস্তা। এই
Yeah.
বুড়ি,
নাস্তা।
and they know that আমি মানে দেশি খাবার খেতে আসছি. So,
হুম।
I mean, and bless their heart. Like, it was all from the right
Oh, of
intentions. But এত
course.
খাওয়া যায়, তারপর ওইখান থেকে the next place আবার খাইতে
হ্যাঁ,
যাব। আবার
নাস্তা
একজন ডাকে
means
ওইখানে খাইতে হয়।
yeah.
No, but it
Yeah,
has to be
নাস্তা
just একটু চা হলে হয় না।
no, cha and da. That da is like ছয়টা
A
পদ।
lot. Yeah.
Because tomorrow
Yeah.
you have to have savory things and sweet things too. So it's not
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
singara and tikia, but then there's like,
Mishti
mishti.
কিছু।
And then মিষ্টিতে তোমার রসগোল্লা থাকতে হবে, আবার ফিরনি, ক্ষীর ওগুলিও থাকতে হবে। Like what
And
the
But
and
if it's just
একটা
us,
শুকনা মিষ্টি থাকতে হবে।
হ্যাঁ,
হ্যাঁ?
Like a
শুকনা,
শুকনা, like
like
a dry
ঝরঝরা
মিষ্টি।
or yeah.
শুকনা মিষ্টি and ভিজা মিষ্টি?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you can't give one mishti either.
No, that's true. But that's the thing. But I feel like if we were hanging out, there's no, like, I don't think about
Well, I don't
that.
think there's the pressure of that, but
Yeah.
I mean, if three of us are in a room and we're like, oh, we got to order some food, we're not ordering two things. We are also going to be ordering 10 things because we want to eat all of those things.
Remember when you came over and I was like, we were gonna order Indian? I'm like, okay, I'll just make some bhat.
Yeah.
And
But
then
I
Oh,
mean,
2 hours later,
yeah, but I think in general, we like to eat variety of things.
yeah.
And so like even if it's a casual thing, even when we go out to eat, we're like, "Oh, let's
Oh
get
yeah.
four
yeah.
appetizers." And nobody being like, "Let's get one and split that."
Yeah.
Even though there's three pieces, we would be like, "No, no, no, let's get
Get
five
two.
Five
appetizers."
appetizers.
And then,
Yes.
oh, this entree and this entree looks good. Why don't we order four entrees so we can share and try? Like
But
Oh,
do you
that's
think that comes from like um the fact that we come from such a gorib
yes. Oh,
place?
from a
that we have to
mm,
show that we've got money?
No, not in a
Ano?
showy way, but it's like
which part?
that the hardships of coming from such a poverty-stricken for generations, right? I think that the more that we do is because it's like I'm not that anymore, or we are not there anymore.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
it's
I
just
think there is.
abundance. I find
Because
that in other brown cultures too. It's
yeah,
like,
I mean, I'll tell like just more of like a sadder story, right? Like one of my cousins spent time in Gaza, and she tells us stories of where they invited her to their home, which barely is a home, and gave her the best food they had. Like
yeah,
that's the
Mm,
hospitality. And we're talking about a war-torn country where you could barely get bread. But they were like,
yeah,
"You eat first before I will."
oh,
Because
right.
that's just yeah, and I think
It,
a lot of
because we don't
cultures
come from abundance.
yeah. Even Bangladeshi, I mean, you'll go to
you
Yeah.
want to
like,
do.
you're visiting like the villages and they're so excited to feed you. Like they will give you
Yes.
everything and go,
I
hungry for
was
two
listening
days.
exactly. I was listening to Trevor Noah's podcast, and they were talking about Ozempic, but they were
Mm.
talking. He was like, "This is so weird because the culture I come from," and he has a Nigerian co-host, and she was like, "There are cultures where there's like a fat room, like you put a woman in that room to
Hmm.
fatten
Oh
her
my
up,
God.
Yeah,
because
before she
that
gets married.
means." Yeah,
They
because
have
that
wealth.
means
Yeah.
you are
Hmm.
wealthy. It all comes down to wealth. Where here it's like now we have everything,
Mm-hmm.
it's a wealthy country. And so now all we're trying to do is like the skinnier you are, the wealthier you are. Like
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
opposite. And I think it comes from like yeah, not coming from a poor background.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
But some of it doesn't make sense. Ekdike, you're a poor country, but you wanna like mehmandari with people and do all of this, and on the side, you're shaming women and telling them that they
Oh,
got fat.
Oh, of course. Well, that's why
So,
it's like মোটা হয়ে গেছে কিন্তু আজকে খাও কালকে
huh.
ডায়েট করো।
oh yeah. Yes,
Make
the
that make
comment of you've
sense.
gained weight, but please eat at my house. It's like,
Yeah.
Mm.
really? Kisher diet, kalke diet kuro.
Mm.
Huh. Ish, it's the worst.
Or it's like we talked about this, like জামাই শুকায় গেলে বা something, oh, বউ তোমাকে খাওয়ায় না, or
Right.
ভুঁড়ি টুড়ি থাকলে বলে ও ভালোই তো সুখে আছে নিশ্চয়। Nobody wants that booty on him.
But again, like, why even have to make these comments?
Yeah.
Because we come from Gorib. We are Gorib.
No, I think we just like filling silence. Like,
Yeah, we
মানে
just,
কিছু একটা বলতেই হবে.
yeah.
Oh, maybe it's evolved to that, but I really do think. And ওই কিছুটা বলতে গেলে it comes from a very Gorib
It's
place.
like মনের কথাটা বলেই ফেলি. Like, আমি কেন
It's
বলবো
the
না?
worst. No, and it's always
So,
negative things. Like I
so
remember being told,
exactly. They're negative.
হ্যাঁ, ওহ তুমি কি অনেক টায়ার্ড, তোমার চোখের নিচে পুরো কালি পড়ে গেছে তো,
Oh my
Hmm.
তুমি কি
God.
What
ঘুমাচ্ছ না,
say?
আর শুকায়ও না, ডোন্ট লুজ এনি মোর ওয়েট, ওকে, একদম মানে বেশি
Hmm.
I
বেশি
would
রোগা হয়ে গেছো।
pray আমাকে কেউ এটা যেন বলে যে ইস আর শুকায়ও না বেশি শুকায় গেছে। I was like,
হ্যাঁ,
yes please, আমার হাড্ডি দেখা যায়, yes please। আরো বলো আরো বলো।
আরো বলো।
It's always something. It's just they have to have the last word.
Mhm.
Was it you guys I was saying like why do we tease each other to the point of
Yeah.
like full on um
Where it's offensive, right? Or like hurtful.
offensive?
Hurtful.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Like it's like it doesn't stop. It's like, what's an example?
Yeah,
I had
you
a
were
good one the day I
referring to
brought it up.
something. Yeah. Where because just to give context, you were it was more about, when you're playfully banter, it's like roasting, right? Like you're kind of
Yeah.
being playful and talking shit to each other, but there's truth to it. Like, oh
Money,
yeah.
you just keep going and going, and it's like, okay, hoising. Like I get it. Now the fun is gone.
Hmm.
Now
Yeah.
the fun is gone. Now you're insulting me.
Right, like where's
Why
the
do we do that?
yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
What making fun to the point where it becomes insulting.
We do
Like
that.
there's a satisfaction to saying something negative, because it's always negative, but then getting away with it too, where it's like, না না এটা তো আমি মজা করে বলতেছি.
Yeah.
Eh.
Like, are you, or are you really, you know, do you really mean that, right?
Oh, there's another example where somebody told somebody who is not like clearly not skinny, তুমি কি জিম করো না? আরে আমি
Oof.
বলতেছি তোমার ভালোর জন্যই তো বলতেছি।
Oof.
একটু
Oh
জিমে
yeah.
যাইও।
Oh yeah.
যাইও ভালোর জন্যই বলতেছি।
Yeah.
And it's like, shut up.
I
Why
used
do
to
they do
get that all
Again,
the
that?
time. It was so
again,
fucking annoying.
like, let them. Why do you have to say anything? Like, if you have made an observation that somebody, you know, to you in your mind is unhealthy or should be going to the gym or whatever, you don't have to just let them. That's not your business.
Yeah.
But we have to. We always have to. And
But
I
Hmm.
mean,
I
I don't
no
think
go.
our generation is going to be like that. I don't know how. Do you think our generation is a little bit more aware of comments like that or no? Because
But
I think,
I do think
yeah.
if you are more traditionally raised, no matter what generation, it'll be there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we have a lot of tools, and maybe with social media it's changed, but we have a lot of content and tools and awareness on
Mm-hmm.
these kinds of things to know that we have to undo this behavior as the next generation.
Yeah.
So if you have access to that, then I think, yeah, it should open up people's minds to think differently, but we're a long ways away.
But
Mhm.
every